Welcome to this comprehensive documentation and proposal on the rural village of Moya Kuhi. This project has been undertaken by the students and faculty of IDEAS, the Institute of Design Education and Architectural Studies, Nagpur. Our focus in this presentation is to understand the identity of a traditional village, examine the changes brought on by unplanned development, and provide sustainable design solutions to conserve both culture and function. Let's begin the journey into the heart of Moya Kuhi. Moya Kuhi has been selected as the location for this study because of its rich cultural backdrop, rooted in Gond tribal heritage. However, this culture is now facing pressure from sudden, unregulated development. The aim of this study is not just academic. It is a proactive approach to visualize change and propose strategies that protect the village's identity while supporting modern needs. The slide shows a location map, helping us understand the village's proximity to regional towns, its accessibility, and its setting within the district. Moya Kuhi's basic facts. It lies in Harrai Tehsil, Chhindwara district of Madhya Pradesh, and falls under the Harrai Community Development Block. With an area of 717.98 hectares, it's considered a moderately sized village. Located 48 kilometers from Harrai, it relies on this town for markets, healthcare, and transport. The image provided shows an aerial view of the village, highlighting the forest fringe terrain, the clustered homes, and farmland surrounding the settlement, a perfect visual cue for understanding spatial dependence on natural resources. It has a linear settlement pattern which follows the contours of a hilly terrain. This means that infrastructure development must respect slope directions, soil stability, and runoff paths. The image here captures the village layout extending along a narrow ridge with clustered houses and a single main street. This pattern affects accessibility, service line placement, and drainage planning. The demographics of Moya Kuhi provide key insights for designing equitable solutions. The village has 630 people. The gender ratio is 48% male and 52% female, showing a slightly higher female presence, important when considering design aspects like safety and community spaces. There is a worrying literacy gap. 49% of the population is uneducated, and only 16% have completed higher secondary education. In terms of housing, 81% live in old-style kacha houses made of mud and natural materials. Only 19% live in brick or RCC structures. Age group analysis shows that 24% are children under 8, 68% are working-age adults, and 8% are elderly. Occupationally, the data mentions 0% in direct agriculture, though practically they grow peas, corn, wheat, millet, and maintain household vegetable gardens. The pie chart shows the data. This video journey takes us through the central stretch of Moya Kuhi, a village deeply rooted in tribal culture and community living. As we walk forward, traditional homes with sloping tiled roofs and mud walls appear on both sides. These structures are practical, climate responsive, and often surrounded by open spaces where families store wood, dry grains, or gather for daily chores. You'll notice signs of transition. A few homes built using RCC, introducing modern forms, but lacking alignment with traditional aesthetics. This blend of old and new is growing, often without any regulatory design direction. The road itself is narrow and lacks essential features: no drainage lines, no lighting, and no defined pedestrian space. Still, this is the main social spine of the village, connecting homes, schools, and public spaces. Toward the end, we pass the village entry, a dusty threshold that marks the connection to nearby towns. It reminds us how important thoughtful, culturally aware planning is to preserve the village's identity while improving its quality of life. Here we explore how infrastructure defines and limits everyday life in Moya Kuhi. The photographs show the village entrance and typical house clusters. The village has 52 houses, with the majority being traditional, constructed from mud and terracotta tiled sloped roofs. A minority are modern or hybrid structures. Educational infrastructure includes a primary and a middle school. Religious life centers around a temple placed strategically in the village core. One of the most socially active spaces is the open ground in front of the primary school and temple, used for festivals, children's play, and community meetings. Most homes have adjoining open areas for storage, work, and vehicle parking. Despite these organic provisions, modern infrastructure like stormwater drainage, drinking water pipelines, and street lighting are noticeably absent, which impacts the community's hygiene and safety. The first major set of issues: physical infrastructure deficits. The accompanying image shows the absence of drainage and water infrastructure, clearly highlighting the problem. The village suffers from irregular water supply, especially during summers. This not only affects drinking water availability, but also limits irrigation, household hygiene, and sanitation. Moreover, there is no street lighting. At night, navigating the roads becomes unsafe, especially for children and women. Even the road constructed under government schemes lacks basic supporting features. There are no footpaths, no signage, and no barricades for safety. These omissions compromise the usability of the infrastructure and present a serious need for design improvement. The social infrastructure gaps that directly impact the quality of life. There is no health center within the village. In emergencies or for routine care, people have to travel 48 kilometers to Harrai. Additionally, there's no community hall or common gathering facility. Social and religious festivals are celebrated in open, unstructured spaces without any amenities like seating, shade, or lights. The images on this slide show poorly lit streets and open gathering spaces, all of which lack comfort, safety, or design intervention. Without dedicated areas for cultural activities or community meetings, the collective spirit of the village is reduced to improvised setups. As seen in this clip, the village lanes remain dark and undefined. The absence of lighting and proper community spaces affects safety and restricts social interaction, turning everyday movement into a challenge, especially during evening hours. The third major issue is a gradual but visible loss of village character. Due to the lack of building guidelines under schemes like the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, newly constructed houses are not reflecting traditional aesthetics or settlement logic. The photo provided captures this transformation. Houses with flat roofs and no setbacks, juxtaposed against traditional sloping roof forms. This unregulated development is resulting in a haphazard visual environment, one that disconnects from the village's historical identity. This video shows a shift from traditional to modern housing is clearly visible. Homes that once reflected local materials and sloping tile roofs are now being replaced with boxy RCC structures. These newer homes often lack verandas, shaded courtyards, and architectural features that define the village's original identity. While modern construction offers durability, it's happening without design guidance, slowly erasing the cultural coherence of the built environment. We now move towards solution-oriented thinking. The first micro-project proposed is a comprehensive street design intervention. In Moya Kuhi, the street is not just a physical path. It is a social spine, a space where children play, elders sit, and community life flows. However, its current condition is unsafe and underdeveloped. This proposal aims to integrate underground utilities such as water supply lines, drainage, and electrical cabling below a newly designed street surface. The surface will include a walking path, planting buffer, and protective edge elements. The images on the slide show a comparison existing broken stretches of the village road and an AI-generated vision of the redesigned street that is accessible, neat, and context-sensitive. The upgraded street is imagined as multifunctional, safe for walking, practical for services, and reflective of village character. To address the growing concern of unregulated housing, the second micro-project focuses on creating development guidelines that align new construction with traditional village aesthetics. These include suggestions on house placement, use of local materials, setbacks, height restrictions, and roof treatments. The photo on the slide shows the stark contrast between traditional homes and uncoordinated new ones. Alongside it, a concept visual proposes a model dwelling, modern yet rooted in the regional style. The idea is to provide both design guidance and prototyping support so future housing, especially under schemes like PMA, enhances, not erodes, village character. This also empowers villagers to see the value of culturally appropriate design. The third proposal focuses on developing social infrastructure that currently does not exist in Moya Kuhi. This includes a multifunctional community hall that could be used for health checkups, vocational training, and festive celebrations. The space is envisioned as flexible, an indoor gathering area with provisions for outreach services, group learning, and cultural preservation. The image displayed shows the conceptual design of such a facility. Set within a modest footprint and constructed using local materials, this center could serve women, elderly, and youth alike. It will strengthen the community fabric, offer dignity during public events, and reduce dependence on distant towns for health or training services. These slides bring the vision of the redesigned village street to life through conceptual renderings developed by a fourth-year student. The visuals show not just a street, but a reimagined public space. Seating areas, lighting posts, shaded corners, and clean pathways reflect an inclusive and safe design. The design highlights both existing conditions and AI-enhanced views. The concept is rooted in practicality, retaining the rural charm while embedding modern features like solar street lighting, proper stormwater management, and designated pedestrian paths. This is more than beautification. It's infrastructure that restores dignity and functionality to a critical community space. Building on the need for social infrastructure, these slides elaborate the design proposal for a dedicated community and skill development center. The center includes spaces for health checkups, training activities, group meetings, and festival celebrations, all within an architectural design that respects rural building language. The design proposal featured here uses locally available materials and incorporates flexible spaces to accommodate evolving community needs. This center is not only a building but a catalyst for empowerment, particularly for women and youth who lack access to such services in their current environment. This slide transitions us into the technological arm of the proposal. Given that Moya Kuhi lies on steep terrain, physical planning becomes logistically and spatially complex. Here, we use virtual reality, VR, to create a terrain-responsive base map, helping planners visualize slopes, flows, and build forms before implementation. In parallel, AI-generated rendered images allow stakeholders to see future possibilities without physically altering the village. The visual on this slide shows such a simulated render, a design that blends planning with prediction. This methodology is vital for reducing error, increasing transparency, and improving design communication. In this part of the tech-driven vision, 360 degrees video mapping is used to capture the existing village environment. This immersive record is layered with proposed interventions, enabling before and after comparisons. Such visualization is essential in helping both authorities and residents understand the tangible impact of development. Moreover, VR becomes a presentation and training tool useful for communicating ideas to stakeholders unfamiliar with architectural drawings. The slide illustrates this through an example of a mapped street overlaid with design suggestions. This approach democratizes design and helps foster local participation in planning. It captures the immersive interface of the 360 degrees VR walkthrough created for the village. It is not just a tool for planning, but a form of digital storytelling, allowing planners, villagers, and stakeholders to experience the space as it exists today. Through this immersive view, we preserve the essence of Moya Kuhi, its textures, its landscape, its spatial behavior, even as we prepare it for a more structured future. It ensures that proposed changes are not just visible, but deeply understood. As we conclude, we revisit our core objective. Moya Kuhi is more than a rural case study. It is a living, breathing village trying to balance tradition and transition. This study shows how community-centered planning, respectful of both culture and context, can bring about meaningful change. We thank the jury, our faculty, and the Moya Kuhi residents whose openness made this study possible. We invite you to see this proposal not just as an academic exercise, but as a blueprint for real-world rural transformation.